Welcome to Center of Light. I'm disappearing, y'all. My abilities are getting better. Check me out. How you doing on this beautiful night? Got a good friend who I never met. I love those kind of friends. You don't live close enough to where if they need something, you have to go. I'm hearing some noise. Hang on. It's called an air conditioner. Keeps me cool. Speaking of cool, tonight we got Nakula Das. He's the boss. Everyone, welcome to Center of Light. Keith Anthony Blanchard here. These words over Yanava. Yanava. The sound of your soul. The sound of everyone's soul. It's a vibration. God is a frequency. Tune in. Center of Light. Center of divine unfoldment and reinforcement. Strap in my broham sandwiches and sisters as we launch for inner space. Speaking of inner space, for me to be able to stay in this inner space we call Center of Light belongs to all of us. In the forum, I just posted a donate link. Yes, I have no shame in it whatsoever. If this show resonates and has helped you shift throughout the years, 10 years, wow, please support my passionate effort as I will continue to contribute depending on where you are in the world. What world are you in? Serious question. What world are you living in? Is your world peaceful? Do you live in a peaceful universe or a hostile universe? Albert Einstein. Kook. He was weird. Just like Jesus. He was a kook. He was weird. Buck the establishment. Watch what happens. It just comes with the program. It's supposed to buck your current. Because the norm is not where it's at. The abnorm is the new norm. Hello, 2020. Have you been digging inside of your chest for that gold? You're sitting on a gold mine. You are the mother lode. See what I'm saying? When you look in the mirror, why do you see what looks like you? Why don't you see something else? Because when you truly look at something, you will see yourself. Because that's the most important thing in this whole deal. The universe revolves truly, essentially, just for you. Do you believe that? Try it. Magic begins to happen. Little packets of light inside of you begin to open up. And then you begin to know things you never known before. The closer you get to God, the more you know. God is omniscient. God is omnipresent. The closer you get to God, the more you feel you're not the more you feel your connection to everything. And God is omnipotent. The closer you get to God, the more power you get. There is no other way. There's nothing else. Are you wasting your time? Or are you living in no time doing that very thing that you love above, push comes to shove, anything that can possibly manifest in your life, happen in your life, something you want? I sit in this chair every day, many, many years, as an example to say, you can have it all. What do you want? How much do you feel you deserve? Big question. Simple question. Big answer. Don't take the first answer that wants to show up in the monkey. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ooh, ooh. He wants a banana, and he'll take the first answer you give him. He's got something on. Give him something worth digesting, processing, assimilating, implementing. It's where we're all going. If you want to cross the River Jordan, that's known presently as COVID-19, you have to purify, testify, glorify. Speaking of glorify, I'm going to bring in my brother, Nakula Das. Let me tell you a little bit about Nakula. I hope I got it right. It was just so, it was easy. It's easy to say. It just took me a while to get it into the cellular membrane. Tonight on Center of Light Radio, kids leave the room. Some of you mature kids leave the room as well. Tonight on Center of Light Radio is my dear friend who I've never met. He's in, I forgot, south of Nova Scotia, Brunswick. Nakula Das is on a mission. Tonight's interview with Nakula is sexual kung fu. Nakula Das is on a mission to promote mantra meditation and sexual kung fu. I didn't want to know too much because I want to dive in it just like you. To people of all walks of life all over the world. That's a period there. That should be that should be an exclamation point. All over the world. Learn the secrets of mantra meditation and how to tap in. Inward is upward, is forward, is toward something. To tap in to unlimited energy through sexual alchemy. Nakula's energy inspires everyone he meets. I would agree with that. to rediscover their internal relationship. Bro, I'm brown nosing like a big dog. Their internal relationship with God. His talks challenge the audience to go deeper within themselves as he skillfully takes the audience deep. Sexual kung fu. Deep within their hearts where God can be experienced. His talks not only inspire and challenge, they transform those who wish to know God, not believe. We're talking about something completely different than believing. He wants to bring you into the garden. He wants to give you a glimpse of your birthright. They transform those who wish to know God and discover their true identity as soul. I am now posting in the forum how you can stomp and make a big stank all over Nakula Doss's page. Show him the love he deserves. Welcome to Center of Light, my bro ham sandwich.
What's happening? This is me like cheering people on, stomping. Stomp, 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 stomp.
So everyone, Nick didn't invite me, that son of a... He just got out of the spiritual bad boy club. We're talking about sexual kung fu, and I'm sure there's probably some overtones in the spiritual bad boy club. We're rebellions. So tell me a little bit, if you would, about this thing that you didn't invite me to.
Yeah, sure. Well, spiritual bad boys is one way that we're distributing sexual kung fu all around the world. So spiritual bad boys is a community for men who are wanting to master semen retention lifestyle. And it's all about teaching men the benefits of semen retention and teaching it in an age where most men are not going to become monks. Most men in the Western world, and even in the Eastern world, this even in India. So, brahmachari practices are not generally practiced anymore in this world. And most men are not interested in going to monk life or into that kind of ashram, that kind of path. But the Taoists really figured out a cool way of alchemizing, or basically opening up our energy channels to be able to basically retain our semen, even though we may be in sexual relationships. So I don't call it the highest level of transcendence at all. This is a very practical tool for men to be able to transmute their sexual energy, put it into goals, put it into spiritual development, transform it from just a physical expression into other aspects of their life, to really use it as a fuel to evolve, with the understanding that most men at this time will not give up sex or take to a monk's life. So we prepare men to say, okay, you're going to be having sex, it's fine. Here's at least how to retain your semen. And in that way, you get all the benefits of semen retention. And if you don't know the benefits of semen retention, my gosh, I would love to explain them to you.
Do so.
Should I keep going?
And so let me ask you this real quick, just out of fun. In your spiritual bad boy club, do you call it semen retention? It sounds like such a politically correct word without stepping on toes.
Toes? Yeah, no, we do. We try to be mature about it.
I get it. And I get the integrity about that. I was just being silly. So if you would, please continue and share with us, what are the benefits of semen retention?
Yes. So
other than longevity and having fun for a little while longer.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
and that's kind of the point, and then why we all dive into the cave. But what are the benefits, my brother?
Yeah. So you just mentioned one, right? Longevity. Okay, so we have to just look at it like this, right? So on a total biological level, right? So we're not even speaking spiritual right now, just totally your biology is that you as a biology are driven to reproduce. You as a biology are driven to have children. And so therefore your drive, your natural sexual drive is pushing you towards this reproduction. Okay, so because of this, your biology also wants to give the new life the best opportunity for survival and a best opportunity for a good start and a good life. And so that means when your body is breaking down all of the nutrients and substances, it's keeping all the best stuff, all the best nutrients, proteins, enzymes, and it's putting it into the semen. It's putting into the semen so that it can nourish again. So it's giving the best opportunity for life, a good start, and a good chance that reproduction will happen. Now, what happens is when the semen is retained for roughly about 7 to 10 days. Every guy's a bit different, so everybody experiences this different, and there's all kinds of other factors like
So
lifestyle,
this is
diet.
not just retention for the moment. This is for a long time because you're keeping it in. And so there
Yeah,
you're speaking about the benefits of holding on to it,
that's
not
right.
just for duration. Okay, please continue. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So basically so when a man retains for 7 to 10 days, roughly, again, every man's different, and there's other factors that come into play, lifestyle, diet, all, these type of things, right? But overall, 7 to 10 days, the semen is reabsorbed back into the body, because the body, see, nature's efficient, right? God loves efficiency. Right? He's an efficient man, and he created an efficient nature. So nature doesn't waste. Nature uses everything, right? It's always using its energy. It's always properly using and executing its energy. So what ends up happening is that when a man doesn't use his semen, he doesn't ejaculate from 7 to 10 days, the body actually reabsorbs the semen back into the system, giving the body all the best nutrients, enzymes, proteins, and releasing that back into circulating it back through the bloodstream and into the system. What this does for men is, it, first of all, the science shows that it boosts testosterone tremendously. So all of a sudden, a man feels more like a man. What we have right now in the world is largely men in their energetic way are actually sitting in a feminine position. Most men are passive. Most men are not stepping up. They're not making leadership choices. They feel depressed. They're watching porn. They're ejaculating all the time. I'm not here to condemn that. I've watched porn and smoked weed. I'm a kid that grew up in North America doing, you know what I mean? That's why I'm talking about this, because I get it. But here's the thing. What we don't realize, and what our culture never taught us, is that actually sex control, when you can control your ejaculation, you're not only on a biological level going to increase your own, it's proven to better brain tissue, smarter intellect, nutrients deficiency. We are a society that's so dependent on supplements. Large amounts of this can be balanced out and naturally taken care of through the semen. So what happens is that we largely live in a society that we encourage masturbation, and we encourage semen discharge frequently, often. It's pleasurable, right? So therefore there's obviously an attraction, because again, your biology wants you to do it. But if you learn to retain your semen, it will get reabsorbed back into the system. Your testosterone will boost. You'll notice higher energy, higher motivation levels, clearer thinking, clearer mind. And most importantly, now you start to learn to retain over a period of time. You're going to grow in the tremendous power of willpower. You're also, in Ayurveda, it speaks about your ojas. Ojas is your spiritual energy, your spiritual power. That actually the semen is refined down into like 7 layers, which eventually becomes semen. So your food is broken down, and is broken down through the different levels of the body until it's refined into semen. Well, when semen, like when water is heated up to 100 degrees, it's going to start to boil. When semen is heated up or retained in the body and used, it transforms into ojas, like a water into gas. It transforms. This semen also transforms, and it actually begins to flow upwards in the body. Once you start getting an upward flow, you're naturally, first of all, going to have spiritual realizations. You're naturally going to understand, like you're naturally going to have just a way
Nick,
higher
would you
vibration.
say that it's because you start to fall into the natural father seed planter principle? I heard you a minute ago say that you begin to collect more energy. So what happens in ejaculation? In an ejaculation situation with a guy, be it 5 minutes or 2 hours,
Yeah,
as soon as
yeah.
it happens, you're ready to go roll over and go to sleep. And the woman's ready to go. So that's your opposite mirror, right?
That's
So,
right.
but collectively, ongoingly, if you with a partner or however you live your lifestyle is
Yeah,
irrelevant. The fact that you are
yeah.
ejaculating so much, all this time that you were doing that, you can be conserving that to where it creates a powerhouse within the person of replanted semen, replanted seed for the person to keep growing within themselves kind of idea. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's like it was interesting. I was at my mother's just like a weekend or two ago, and she's growing these plants, and she's growing. I can't remember. I think it was basil she's growing, or I can't remember which herb. She's got a bunch of things on the go, and so she was showing me. She said, "You know what? You have to cut it off though before it flowers, because it keeps the energy within the plant, so it keeps growing more bigger and bigger." Right, and I turned to my wife and I laughed. I said, "Yeah, just like semen retention, right?" I said it's the same idea. See, it's happening all over nature. The
Did your
idea is,
grandmother hear that?
yeah, no, my mother. Oh, yeah, she knows
Your
what
mother?
I do. Yeah, yeah.
Nick, if I could, while I'm thinking about it, brother, please
Yeah, yeah.
excuse me. I want to send a shout out to some people in California who have been experiencing fire, and it's going to blow through, and the authorities said it's just going to happen. Sit back and painfully allow it to happen. I want to send not only the energy that's happening now, but for the future of anyone who watches this presentation, this time with Nick and Nakula Das and myself hanging out with you beautiful, sexy human souls, that any energy that ever comes from this interview is sent to those people in this situation. Also, a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine, Lewis, has been stricken with an illness. So let's send that out to him. Please continue, my brother. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So where was I at? Oh yes. So my mother. So yes. So I was laughing, just saying yes. It's the same idea. See, the idea is this: what happens in ejaculation, and you described it perfectly, right? Okay. So a man ejaculates. What does he want to do? Roll over. You know, at best, I need to eat something. Now, like I'm gonna go to sleep. And like
And
you
a
said,
cigarette.
and a cigarette. That's right. Like I need a smoke and like bed and like I'm good, you know, and a little Netflix before I crash out, right? And the thing is, and you said, and the woman's still like rearing to go, right? Because actually, yin or like feminine energy is like takes longer to boil up, but once it's hot, it's hot. It's what it wants to. It keeps boiling. Where a man's energy, yang energy, or the male energy is more like fire, where it's quick to boom, get going. You know, just look at me, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm catching the signal, right? And then it's quick to be out. Like once it's done, that's right. Once it's done, it's done. So the point from a bedroom standpoint, actually, men who practice sexual kung fu learn to last as long as they want in bed, which from a satisfaction, like on a physical level with your partner, can increase the pleasure that actually both people are having and increase the intimacy in relationship, which is one of the things that many people complain about in the bedroom.
That has destroyed many marriages.
Many.
In fact, I can attest to that because not necessarily in a marriage, but I understand back in the day when I was just so excited, a little puppy dog about to get bought in the window, his tail's wagging. Yeah. It just goes nowhere. But I love the fact that you broke it down to a physical, scientific perspective. That this is the transformation of how the things play out from heads to tails, and as the tail swallows the snake swallows its own tail. It's a circular event, and so we go from this place to wanting what we want to realizing that we want something a little deeper after a couple of years of being promiscuous. And then he goes, okay, this is fun and I got a buzz and it's cool. But you know, when we start doing this consciously, keyword here, we start realizing the cave goes deeper. It's not just you walk in and get your jollies up and go, oh my God, I'm in a cave and there's some writing. Explore the writing in the cave. I mean, you go deeper. And so you have a physical layer. I'm sure you have a mental layer, which is probably why the physical happens, because the mind is racing like, oh, get out.
Yeah.
But then you have the feeling, the emotional layer, and then I'm sure the spiritual deliciousness that happens from this, what do you, chocolate covered cherry, if you will, this cordial,
Yeah, this
right?
strawberries and whipped cream. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Um, for sure. Like, see, so here's the thing, right? So, okay, as a man, to expand your consciousness, you have to actually hold more prana, more life force or energy within you. You can't be low energy and expect to have a spiritual realization. A spiritual, you have to have high energy. You have to clean your system up. When you're ejaculating, all that energy, the reason you want to roll over or have a cigarette and roll over and go to bed is because literally your energy, your life force, your prana has now has gone out. And that's supposed to be going into the reproduction system. But let's be honest, for most men, it's going into a towel or it's going somewhere else because you're going after the orgasmic pleasure. You're going after.
And I'm laughing as if I'm making light of it because I am making light of it.
Well,
That's
I
because
mean,
it's the truth.
but everybody knows it's the truth, right?
Right?
That's the
It's the
thing. It's
truth.
like it's the truth. Like, so I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, some people are uncomfortable with it because they're like, oh, this is really taboo, and they don't expect someone like me to be talking about it necessarily. But actually, I've learned because they think, oh, here's a spiritual guy, or I have this reputation. Oh, there's a spiritual guy. He's not going to be talking about sex. But actually, I've learned that if you really want to talk about spirituality, there's two things you got to talk about: death and sex.
I agree, and I want to interrupt. I totally agree because death scares the living shit out of people,
That's right. You have
and
to talk
two,
about.
sex scares the living shit out of people.
Mhm.
You can't, you can, but you're not supposed to. If you follow certain doctrine that says use it for procreation and procreation and only, and because you done just that, you're already in trouble. So God forbid, literally,
That's
if you
right.
take it beyond that.
Well, the hypocrisy is crazy, right? Because in one sense, we say like I understand, like in the Hare Krishna order, right? It is like our spiritual master was pretty black and white with, ultimately you transcend. If you want to return to the spiritual world, you transcend sex. That's also there in the Christian, and that's why it's so demonized. But the way it's being presented is like, it takes the humanity out of it because the reality is that right now we're living in an age. First of all, according to the Vedic literature, sannyasi, like the renounced order, is not recommended for our age. We are not trained up. We are not like in that culture.
Well, what is
We grew up.
sannyasi? So we know what you're speaking about, sir.
So sannyasi is someone who's taken to a monk life, a renounced order of life. They're celibate, a celibacy. But we see so many problems happen in many traditions. The Catholic tradition is really like, kind of infamous for sexual misconduct. It's happened not just in the Catholic Church, though. It's happened in all churches. It's happened in the Hare Krishna, or it's why? Because people
It
aren't
happens
trained up.
everywhere. People are just people, and you got people who
That's
with imbalances in the mental capacity. And I
that's
mean, it
right.
happens to firemen, it happens to policemen, it happens
That's
to
right. It's
musicians,
happening. That's right.
everybody.
It's happening. So rather than saying like, hey, like the reality is that most men are not going to give up sexuality. And I'm only speaking for myself. I'm in a relationship, right? And I'm in a sexual relationship. I practice semen retention lifestyle so that I can keep my life force, my energy. I've learned how to experience sex as not a goal-oriented thing, but just as a pleasurable thing. But then from there, and again, like you said, that's like all that's kind of like the let's say the cherry on top. But the real cake of semen retention is outside the bedroom. So there's the benefits inside the bedroom, yes. But outside the bedroom, the tremendous amounts of energy that you have because your life force is not depleted. Now, let me ask every honest
Wow.
man.
Wow. Wow. Please continue. I'm just wowing.
Yeah, yeah. So this is what happens. You ejaculate, your life force, boom, gone. Now your body has to spend a tremendous amounts of energy creating more semen. It's always doing it, right? That's why you could essentially ejaculate every day, and
The
but
law of
actually
least effort.
that's right, exactly. Now you have to put in just tremendous effort. So now you have to sleep for a few days, and that's why a lot of men, they'll feel like after a sex drive, they could be a couple days, and depending on their sexual habits, it could be days where they're feeling lethargic and they're feeling lazy. And what ends up also happening is that after you ejaculate, the body, and I forget the hormone's name off the top of my head, but basically it releases like a hormone that actually stops the production or slows the production of testosterone, right? So it slows you down. It actually puts you more into a feminine energy state. So what happens is we have a state right now where men are ejaculating to porn mainly every single day on the internet, right? In this COVID time, everybody's at home. This is happening regardless of COVID or not. I'm not judging it. I've watched a fair amount of porn, right? I get it. And then what ends up happening is we this becomes this vicious cycle. Your life force is being depleted. Now, think about the opposite of this. So let me give you the opposite example, okay? Think about, so Napoleon Hill, who's the author of Think and Grow Rich or The Laws of Success, the famous, personal development book, says that sex transmutation is the secret to success, because he says that the sex drive is the highest drive. It's the thing that we're driven to do the
It's
most.
absolutely and completely raw. It's
That's right.
primordial
It's
that the
totally
universe, through the male aspect or even the female aspect, it's not limited, but that particular energy, it wants to just say, here's a seed. Within a seed is a potential of every forest. What a hell of a bang that is to be compressed into this idea that we look at this. In fact, a tomato seed. You have one seed, this thing begins to flower and it begins to express itself in infinite possibilities.
Yeah, and so you think about, like I said, you mentioned the energy. So now hold. You learn to hold your semen 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Your ojas, that semen is being refined because the body's going to use it. First of all, you're going to notice that you're going to heat up. As you heat up, your body's going to refine it, and eventually it's going to turn into spiritual power. It's going to fuel you, it's energy. And so in this sense, you're going to notice less sleep needed, higher energy. Look, I get up 5:30 every morning. I was up at 5:30. It is now 9:30. I've done a tremendous amounts of work today. I've taught a class. I've done videos, produced content. I met someone. I'm doing another interview tomorrow, right? It's 9:30 at night. I'm still rocking. Why? Because I have so much energy because I practice this lifestyle. And so what happens is, as your ojas, your energy grows, you then, first of all, you're probably going to notice a tremendous heightened sex drive, right? Like you're just going to be like, "Ugh." Now, this is why Olympic athletes, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, artists like Sting, 50 Cent, they've all attested to some sort of practice of not celibacy, excuse me, semen retention lifestyle, or bouts of where they take sex fasts and masturbation fasts so that they allow themselves to rebuild. So this is known by people who have very high levels of success. And they all speak about this drive, this motivation, because here's what happens again at a biological level. All right, my body wants me to reproduce, and it is going to do everything in its power to make me want to reproduce. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to allow my body to control me. This is where naturally spiritual realization happens, because you'll have to realize I can control my body mind. So therefore I am not my body and mind. I must be that element, that awareness underneath the body and mind that can control such a powerful force, and the willpower that you'll develop by doing it is incredible. So you end up holding for long periods of time. Your biology wants you to go and reproduce. So what it's going to do, as it reabsorbs the semen, it's going to give you some brighter skin. It's going to make you more vibrant. It's going to allow your charisma to come out more. Your eyes are going to shine. Why? It's literally trying to light you up like a peacock is going, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well, that's actually what the avian species does. That's why the avian species, the birds, for those, they have this beauty about them to entice, to entertain.
What do you think a flower
It's sex.
does?
So that's, you see, that's I get all that, bro, I love you. What in the world? How did you get on this path, bro? Did someone
Okay.
throw a sandwich in front of your face because you were hungry? I mean, what?
Okay, hold on. I want to answer that question, but I want to just finish that. So what happens is you have this powerful driving force in you because it's now if you transmute it, meaning if you learn how to take that energy, and this is sexual kung fu. Kung fu means daily discipline, that which requires daily discipline. Sexual kung fu means you're bringing daily discipline to your sexual energy. You're learning to channel it. You're learning to bring it upwards. You're using your mind. Your mind wants to drive you to sex, but because you learn these techniques to move your energy, you start to think about your business or your health or your relationships, or you start to think about God. You start to think about the higher aspirations of life, and you have a high vibration. You have so much prana in you that it rockets these things. It launches you into action. And that's why Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, they would practice no masturbation, no sex, at least 30 days, if not longer, before a fight. Because the analogy is used is, who's going to win a fight, a hungry dog or a dog that just ate? Right? It's
Yeah,
the
and I
dog
love
that starved,
I love that
and
you're
he's
so
like,
open
I
to
want
the
it.
idea, and you have no compunction whatsoever about talking about masturbation. And everybody else is, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking about that. Well, oh my God, I can't believe that you're doing that when nobody's looking. So might as well get real,
That's
into
right.
the real thing. From YouTube, someone says we're losing the guys. I'm not going to mention names. That's not important. I mean, we're losing the girls. But actually, maybe that's purposeful. Maybe this is for the guys, so it becomes about the girls.
Well,
So
okay. I, I,
please,
I want to speak directly to that. We're losing the girls because we are not being men. And we're not being men because we are essentially, what we've learned to do is become passive. Now, obviously, I'm paintbrushing. This is not going to be true for everyone, but largely, and I work with men all around the world. I'm talking, I'm getting emails daily on this subject. And from men saying, can you help me? Men, okay, let's talk completely on an attraction level. What makes a man and a woman attracted to each other is polarization. A man in his feminine. Now, what is a man? So in the Vedic tradition is defined as this: someone who is sensitive and sense controlled. Okay, let's speak about sensitive. Sensitive means not that you're sensitive means I understand, I have emotions. I can sense them, and I'm sensitive to those around me. I can move, I can sway. When the feminine energy in your life goes wild, you should be grounded. But what's happening is that men are essentially going just as wild as the feminine energy. So now you've got now you've got this happening. But the man should be sense controlled. What is sense controlled? He's in control of himself. He doesn't get when the whole idea of a man not being emotional is not that a man doesn't have emotion, it's just that he does not act from emotion. He acts from a deeper sense of responsibility. So a man should be a protector. Naturally, we want to be protectors. We want to be providers. This takes sense control, responsibility, leadership, decision making. I get so many women telling me, I can't get my man to finish the project. I can't get him off of Netflix. He's playing too much video games. He's watching his phone and he's not
Nick,
giving me a backup.
that sounds to me like the same thing. I can't get my man to finish the project or projection, his ability to this and that.
Yeah,
It sounds like the same thing, because getting your man to do the dishes, take out the trash, that's sex. That's intimacy. That's like you showing
right.
responsibility and stepping up to the plate.
And I had a conversation with a buddy, and he said, "So am I supposed to boss her around?" I'm like, "No, my gosh, no, not at all. That's the worst understanding of the message. The message is this: is that don't worry about the women. We're losing the women. We're getting women. You talk to an honest woman. She said, I want to be with a strong man and I want to support him, right? But that means that a man has to be in his male energy. And that means but right now, our lifestyle is so sedentary. We're sitting in front of screens all day. We're eating too much carbs. We're drinking too much. We're masturbating and ejaculating too much. We're watching porn. So our drive, our sex drive, our energy is totally being just and therefore that vibrancy that you know as a man that you should be carrying, it's like, I want to get things done, I want to move things forward. That's what we need. Once men step into that power, naturally you'll find that women will naturally get behind it. But when a man is not in his power, you better believe a woman will step up, because a woman will step up and be both. And a woman will step up. And I've helped very powerful women too, and have trouble falling into their feminine energy. That's a whole different podcast. But point is this, is that ultimately we as men have to learn to be better at being men. And there's no training for it. And there's no training for
It's
it. And we have really
hands-on,
bad role
no
models.
pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. But that's what, like back in the day, you would go to like thousands of years ago, like in the Vedic culture, you would go to what's called a gurukul, where you would actually go to an all-boys school with the spiritual master. You would practice brahmachari or celibacy up to the age of 25. You would become sense controlled. But man, by the time I was 9, 10 years old, my first website was Nas.com. If y'all don't know who Nas is, he's a rapper, And my second website, Sex.com. I was grade 9, right? So now
Hence
that's
bad
me.
boys, the spiritual bad boys.
And spiritual bad boys, right? So point is this, is that, look, I'm real in the sense of like, hey, if you want to go to a monk lifestyle, I'm talking to one guy right now who contacted me. He wants to go down a monk lifestyle. I'm connecting him to my guru who is a monk. I am not a monk. I'm not going down that lifestyle. I have learned a way to retain my semen, transmute my sexual energy in a sexual relationship. And it's life changing, man. And
Let me
so
ask you this, Nick, before we go
to
to
get rid of negative sexual habits.
Before we go to song break, absolutely, dude, I'm so enjoying this. This is so different from me because I'm sitting here. I always like talking, but right now I'm just totally into listening. But my question to you is, Broham Sandwich, is I understand that there's a learning curve. I did ask you earlier. You can come back and tell me your answer about what got you into this. That someone just give you a sandwich, or whatever, however the conversation goes. But I'm sure there's a learning curve, and what gives one the passion to keep moving forward is the benefits that you, or me, or whoever said, if you stay strong if you stay the course,
that's right.
This is what's going to happen. In between that moment and what's going to happen. Is it, quote, painful? Is there a lot of stress and effort? Oh my God, when is this gonna, no pun intended, come?
Yeah.
When is this gonna come? Because it's gonna get a little cray, and I need to get some BEEG.com going.
Yeah. No, I hear. I got a whole video, like my YouTube channel is all about this stuff, and I talk about blue balls, and I talk about like pressure, right? And I said, okay, look, I was like, here's the deal, right? Like, at first, what's actually more uncomfortable is not the physical like aspects, and blue balls and such can be all avoided. Pressure can all be avoided by physical activity, sexual kung fu practices where you're opening up your channels. So in the Indian yoga system, it's known as the chakra system, which I know you're very, very familiar with. In the Taoist system, the Chinese medicine system, it's known as the microcosmic orbit. It's the same system. It talks about
microcosmic orbit.
Yes.
That's the Chinese word? That's not the Chinese word, but that's the way
the way that they describe the energetic body of like that you have an energetic center basically going up and that circles the body like this.
Sure.
This microcosmic orbit or the chakra system has to be opened and consistently cleansed out. And that's actually where your sexual energy can easily flow. The more your energy channels are open, then it's easier to retain more energy in your body. Why most guys want to ejaculate is because they're actually holding, like, they have this sex drive. And if you know, like, if you're really hankering for sex, right, then like that drive, you're like, a guy's willing, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm driving across 3 hours to town because she said come over, right? And it's like, but yet if if earlier she said, can you take out the garbage, you'd, oh man, I'm tired, babe, I've been working all day, like, right? So
You sound like a man speaking of it from experience.
Oh, 100%. This is all personal experience here. So, but a man, when he knows he's going to have sex, all of a sudden he's got the energy of like no tomorrow. He's got no excuses. Now take that same drive and put it into your business. Take that same drive, put it into your health. Take that same drive, put it into your relationships. That's what you get when you learn to retain your semen. Now, some people ask me, do you ejaculate at all? Yes, I'm not a monk, but minimum once a month. And now, do you want me to tell you how I got into this, or are you going to take a break and then
let's take a song break? But you remind me, I'm really loving this because I love the fact that this is just not only about sex, because it actually it really is. It's only about sex because you are coming together with every aspect of yourself in the universe in such a sensual, intimate way, or at least I hope you are, because there's nothing you can do about sex, and even in your celibacy, because you're always exchanging energies. Energies are coming in, energies are going out. You are coming together with aspects of your beautiful, sacred, tantric, feminine, masculine, principal self. Nick, yeah?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Keith Anthony Blanchard hanging out with my bro ham sandwich, Mr. Nakula Doss, talking about the taboo. But actually, it's the most beautiful thing about you. It's that which brought you forth, is it not? Can it be anything else? I think not. See what I'm saying? Let's see. Lavender Soul. How about some... I'm going to be right back. Take a song break. Nakula was talking a little earlier about meditation mantra, and I'm sure that meditation mantra has something to do with breathing. God is life. God is breath. It's the same word. Breathe. Lavender Soul. C. Shardy.
Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in love, give in love, be in love, and love you shall receive.
knowing God is by my side. There is nothing I need to know. All the wisdom's in my soul. All along I knew the way. Time has told me every day to breathe, breathe and expand myself, to know there is no one else but me and God who's in my heart. So I'll breathe, breathe and expand myself and know there is no one else but me and God.
Welcome back to Center of Light. Keith Anthony Blanchard here, hanging out with my bro from the tundra, Nakula Das. Let me bring him back on the show. I got a couple of questions. We have one that we have been skipping around for a little bit. One is, what got you into this? But I have to confess to you, sir, I need to release. Last time you and I spoke, I told you about this kitty cat that I bought.
Yes.
I was bragging and I was proud, and I was.
Yeah.
And then I realized, while I'm thinking about it, the next point I want to get into is the ladies. Maybe we can, because someone mentioned it on YouTube, that we can move into that experience so it crossfades into a beautiful unity that we all can.
Sure.
Yeah. So this kitty cat, in fact, Nakula, the next day, I realized that since my son left to go to school, public school, and so he lives with his mom.
Yeah.
This is a young kitten. She is wild. And I get it. She's a kitten, but she's wild for a kitten.
Right.
Has that sexual primal, I'm ready to get in and make a sandwich energy. And she wants it all day. She wants it all day. And I can't do that. I get tired. All these metaphors, I get tired. And I'm realizing that maybe I need to cut her loose. Maybe she needs to go be with someone or some people that gives her what she deserves, that unconditional love thing. And I did. I gave her away.
Wow.
That night, I cried like a bitch. I just simply bawled.
Yeah.
The next day, synchronistically, he calls me and says, "Hey, bro, can I bring your cat back to you?" Because she's got so much energy. She gave the little dog who came from an abused home anxiety. And I was like, oh my God, this is so perfect. But when she got back, almost like a relationship breakup, when you get back together, you appreciate the missing. I missed her so much. As I said, I cried. Obviously, she missed me as a mirror reflection. She just completely sub-chick. And she's over here just chilling out on the bed when before I could not. How did you, I want to share that with you. It meant something to do so. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
How did you get into this? And then after that, let's move into what do the ladies benefit from it? Semen retention or whatever it is you would like to share about sexual kung fu.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, how I got into it is this. So, I got into personal development and entrepreneurship development that led me into spiritual development. Through many different texts and traditions, this concept of celibacy or sexual transmutation is there. The first time I read about it was in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and in his book Laws of Success, which is essentially the non-filtered version of Think and Grow Rich. It was the original transcript that was later on published. He gets into he dedicates a whole chapter to sexual transmutation, and he gets into the power of it and why it's such a driving force behind successful people. He talks about this idea of why most young men can never reach any type of real success in their life because of their uncontrolled sex drive. Now, reading that type of stuff and then just looking at my own life, right, of like, just running around and having sex with whoever and, developing all these sort of negative sexual habits, I was like, oh, this is really interesting stuff. And then as I got deeper into the spiritual path and I went down the Vedic route and, I got introduced into the Hare Krishna order and, I got the name Nakula Das, all this type of stuff. Again, this emphasis, Krishna speaks about celibacy and these type of practices. Now, for myself, I'm not going to be celibate right now. I'm in a relationship, a very Western relationship, let's say, and it's not something I'm willing to give up. But me being kind of me, I'm like, well, there's got to be something I can do, right, to continue to learn how to develop and use my sexual energy like all of these successful people. And I recognize that many successful people, weren't full celibates. And so I then stumbled on something called sexual kung fu. So I was just looking at sexual transmutation practices and I came upon something called sexual kung fu. So I started learning about sexual kung fu and this idea that, and in the Taoist alchemy system, that you can, because I practiced energy alchemy before, I understood what they meant by sex alchemy, that you can take your energy and alchemize it. You can transform it into something else, and that there are practices to doing it. And because, again, I've had tons of experience in just regular, what I was called regular energy practices, I was already open and understood some of it conceptually. So I started looking at sexual kung fu practices. I started practicing conceptually. I started practicing in my own life. I started doing the practices. I started retaining. You got to think about it. Like when I learned of masturbation, it was probably like by the time I started learning to masturbate, I've probably been ejaculating daily for 10, 15 years, how much ever it is, whatever. And so you got to
Whatever
think about,
guys go through it and
yeah,
whatever,
like,
right?
and we're learning earlier and earlier, like 10, 11 years old, kids are already masturbating, they're ejaculating. So you think about, like, by the time, so, I learned this several years ago. So I'm 36 now. So maybe 32, 33. I go my first 30 days without ejaculating, probably since I first ejaculated when I was a young boy. And holy shit, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have so much
Let me
energy.
ask you this, brother, before we get into the women phase, but you continue to tell me how you found this. Why do you think people, how do you know, what is this thing that people have such a hang up about touching their body or being naked, being vulnerable, all this stuff about sex, which everyone truly wants, and everyone behind the scenes was a, hey Jill or John,
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
and then we look at whether most people, correct me if I'm wrong, and I have no issue being wrong. I'm a guy, so maybe this is coming from a guy platform.
Yeah.
When two people connect and want to hang out, hello Jane Doe, check out Big Boy over there. I mean, this is already happening in the head. It's already happening in the psyche. It's already happening in the process. Same with the guys. So if this is such a natural space as to why we want to go in the bathroom, talk about the guy we just met at the bar, the woman we just met at the bar, what is the hang up? What is the issue with just being
Well,
honest with oneself? Some of it, I'm sure it has to do with being Catholic, nothing against Catholicism, but so
yeah,
forth and so
yeah.
on. What is the hang up?
Well, first of all, okay, so sex, I believe, purposely has been twisted by a very powerful forces in this world, like you're talking about the church, you're talking about governments who essentially want to deplete. It's easier to control a subdued population. If you there's in okay, so if you start reading about books about war and about warfare, sex is being used as warfare, because if you deplete the men in a population of their sexual energy and of their drive, that's it. Defenses are down. You'll get the crumbling of an internal system. Okay, it's a deep issue, and what ends up happening is that um, it's taboo because it's been made to be taboo. So it's a natural driving force, but because it's made to be taboo, it's manifested itself in so many other ugly sort of ways. And the thing is that um, we feel guilt and shame around our sexual impulses rather than learning to use our sexual impulses. So the teaching is that as human beings, we want to have at least some discipline control. We don't want to be like animals. We want to have discipline and control. We want to become spiritual masters, mastering our energies, mastering our spiritual natures. To do that, we have to control the sex energy. How it's turned out is that we're going to try to control it by suppressing it, by making it wrong, by making it bad. That's unhealthy.
Bro, this sounds exactly, literally, as I'm sitting here listening to your light language beyond the words you're saying. This sounds exactly like religion. We're going to control
Yeah.
you to not have too much bliss. You can have enough to keep you on this path because we're throwing seeds at you so you can follow the carrot and or the candy on the floor and bring, as long as we got you, and that's all we care about. So they give us enough of the bone, enough of a nugget to keep us horny.
Yeah.
Right?
What we're gonna do is totally what we're gonna do is we're gonna
And
put
I don't mean
sex.
only this about guys. I mean this about
Yeah,
the
that's
human
everybody.
population.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
everybody.
Everybody. Women are equally driven for sex as men. Sometimes more so, especially as a woman gets older and her testosterone levels increase, and it can happen where it happens sometimes in the opposite of men. It's important men keep themselves healthy, vibrant, if they want to continue to have a sex drive and that kind of energy. But the thing is that uh, basically sex is everywhere in our society. If you look at sex, it's everywhere. It's in our movies, it's in our music, it's everywhere. But yet it's taboo. It's hush hush. Nobody talk about it. It's uncomfortable. And that's because there's a lot of shame and guilt and control wrapped around it. And what people have figured out in very powerful positions is that if you could suppress a population's sexual energy, if you can deplete them of their sexual energy, you will deplete their ability to resist, their ability to think for themselves. They're very easy to be controlled. Think about it very practically, okay? Like you ejaculate, you're consistently ejaculating, you know how tired you are, you know you want to sleep. Are you going to have the resistance now to question any kind of decisions or authority that may be affecting your rights, your freedoms? Are you going to have any power to do? No, your power is in your tissue box, unfortunately, instead of, you know, being alert and being awake and being ready to be of a greater service. And so this is the importance of this work. So at the surface level, it's all about, oh, I can last as long as I want in bed. There's the attraction factor. It is true. When you retain your semen, you become more in your masculine energy. So therefore, you naturally attract more women because they're in their feminine energy, and opposites attract. So you become more attractive. Guys have learned this. That's why there's a young, if you look at the semen retention movement, you'll see a lot of 20 to 30
They're doing this for that
guys,
reason. They're doing this.
They're doing it for that reason, which I'm like, fine. It's better than what's currently going on, but almost every guy I've seen progress in this lifestyle without them knowing or trying, eventually come to spirituality. It is amazing how naturally, by holding this back, you naturally fall into a deeper part of life. It's incredible.
Because the seed stays planted. It doesn't get rerooted into another place. Someone in one of my many forums, paraphrase, says that why not just take a cold shower? This is absolutely, unequivocally, exactly what this is not about. This is not about reducing someone's, a guy in particular's drive to say, I'm not just as horny and ready to go as I could be, want to be. That's not what this is. This is not about control, actually, of one's own juices. This is actually being in alignment with what serves the highest good for the person or the persons involved in a relation, as we relate, ship, because we're all willing to be on the same ship that takes us to the land of beautiful possibilities, the shore of peace and bliss and joy. It just so happens that sex, to use that word, intimacy, going in to be romancing the stone, romancing yourself, has to do with simply being in a space of living in the garden, living in a place of infinity. I'm innocent. What dirt can ever befall me by just being my innocent self? So there's a complete hierarchy of difference between taking a cold shower and understanding who I am, standing in my power, and what I'm going to do this second, this minute, this hour with that. Would you agree with that, sir?
Yeah, for sure. Like there's like taking a cold shower is good to cool the energies down.
Cool the guy down.
To cool the guy down. But what we're looking for, or what we're encouraging, is at all levels. I'm encouraging at all levels. So at one point I am teaching guys, because guys are asking me. I didn't set out to do this. I set out to text, but I'm getting, like I was saying, this particular part, I didn't set out to teach guys about how to be better in bed and how to last longer, but it is one of the benefits that come with it. So I'm getting a lot of questions. So I'm helping guys in that realm because I see guys are suffering. Their confidence is low. There's a lot of anxiety around women. There's a lot of anxiety about relationships. And right now we live in a very, we're very harsh culture where if you say the wrong thing, they're calling you racist, they're calling you sexist, they're calling you this, they're calling, this politically overcorrect. And personally, I think it's nonsense. We need to be able to just speak honest and openly and really feel people's intentions and hearts. Then but what's amazing again, so I'm helping people, guys on that level, but also at the same time, the spiritual basketball is guys on a whole different level where they get all that, they understand that's all available, but they're seeking for higher things too. Like, hey, how do I really become a man of value, of quality? And when you have a lot of energy within you and sex drive within you, but you can put yourself to higher aspirations to become a man of value, a man of quality, a man, a leader, a responsible person, right? Yes, you could still, enjoy yourself in the bedroom as you wish, but you'll have the power to actually get energized and take yourself to new heights and levels. And again, you do your own. I tell people, do your research. Just look it up. You'll see the powerful men from King Solomon, all the way up to 50 Cent today, presidents, artists, sages, wizards, masters, geniuses, all of them. Nikola Tesla is a great example. He was a lifelong celibate. Like, the genius that comes, the creativity that comes from this drive, it's beyond anything that some 3-minute sort of stimulation can give you.
Bro, I love that because we're talking about sexual kung fu, you use the words to describe it, sexual drive. And in fact, that's really not what it is at all. That's not what Nick is saying at all. What he's saying is, in any one of us, there is a drive so strong that equals what we can understand to be equally sexually. In other words, it has that kind of punch, that kind of perseverance, that kind of power. It says, I want this thing. So if that being said, call me Ron Jeremy, because every day I'll sit in this chair, I am so erect in my backbone that I just bring forth these seeds and these creations like you do, like many of us do. So in this way that you're describing this, it's not just a sexual drive. It's the drive that is primordial from your base, your root chakra. In fact, all the way to even more so to your crown chakra. Your crown chakra is more of your root base than your root base chakra actually is. So there is a drive that comes from that. And that's so sexual because it's enticing, it's entertaining, it's alluring. It has all those qualities of, I'm drooling from the mouth because I want some more of that. Would that be a way of crossing the bridge for those who have an issue with the word sexual drive, to those who just simply have a compulsion or a fire, a passion to bring something forth in life?
Yeah, so it's the same energy expressed in different levels. So in the Vedics, in Bhagavad Gita, for instance, it talks about the 3 gunas, the 3 modes of material nature. So there's the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, and the mode of goodness. The mode of passion is sex drive. So in the mode of passion, you want to get things up. You want to create. Think of it as creative force or creative drive. So you want to create. You either want to, on a physical level, you want to create a baby. When the body wants relationship, it wants sexuality. At a heart level, you want to create relationship. You want to know each other. You want to serve. You want to have devotion or emotion. And that's sex. Like when you decide to serve someone or help someone, bring joy or bliss into someone's life through the heart, it's done in an expression of love. And then at the highest level is transformed into spiritual bliss. And this is sex at a spiritual level. Sex at a spiritual level is non-physical. It's non-physical sex. It's bliss at a spiritual level. So sex,
Nick, I say we talk about sex on the core, the earthly level, we call it intercourse, but on the spiritual level, we call it intercourse.
Yeah, right? I love it. Yeah, that's what it is. It's about a union, right? Sex is about union.
Unity.
So yeah, it's about unity, right? It's about coming together and creating life, right? And creating. It's this unity which creates, right? Even in the Hare Krishna mantra, Hari is the divine feminine, Krishna is the divine male, and Rama means reservoirs, pleasure is one of the interpretations. You can look at when you have the male and the female, when God and his son, or God and his servant, or God and his creation, you, the soul, come together. There's Rama, this reservoir of pleasure, or Rama or Balaram is spiritual power. Power is there. Leela's there. Leela means play,
Divine sport,
rasa,
play, yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
It's all there, right? So in the stories of Krishna, he embodies all of this. He's playing, because that's actually the living spirit. Sexuality is an expression of this living spirit. On the lowest levels, it's done at a physical level. Sexual kung fu starts at that level. It doesn't deny it. It says, okay.
Thank you very much. It doesn't say, let's just go play in the garden real quick because we're above that. It takes that as a basis. It's the basis.
Right. You can't get in the garden because you still want it on the store. So you have to deal with it where you're at, and then take the natural evolution of where it takes you. And at bare minimum, you're going to have a tremendous amount of energy and new focus and new drive. That's the bare minimum. You really take your spiritual journey seriously, you're going to have a lot more benefit from any type of semen retention practice. And I think this practice, I've seen it changing so many lives. I put out a course on my website just not even a year ago. We've already had 620 something men go through this course called Free Ejaculation Control.
Whoa, bro, phenomenal.
Yeah, and we're just getting warmed up. Like when I say like we're just getting warmed up, like this information can change the life of any man. And why I'm passionate about it is because I've taught, as you know, over the years, I've taught many different aspects. I've taught people how to grow their businesses. I've taught people about spirituality. I've combined the two. But I wanted something that can reach humanity at all levels, and there's nothing more that reaches humanity at all levels than sex, because the atheist is having sex, because it doesn't matter. Right? Everybody's having sex, right? Everybody wants or desires sex. It is such a human element. So I figured, why not talk about sex and talk about it at all levels? I'll talk about it at a physical level with you, and then give me the opportunity to also share some higher aspirations of what can be done with sexual energy.
Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard here, hanging out with my bro Ham Sandwich from the north, from the tundra, Nakula DOS. We're talking about everything cray-cray. Actually, we're talking about everything beautiful. Do you see such things? How do you see them? Since we're speaking about romancing your lover, romancing yourself, which ultimately, no matter what you think you're doing, you're romancing yourself. Mm-hmm. Basically, you are spiritually masturbating even in your coming together with God. That's what you're doing. I'm trying to make myself feel ecstasy in my relationship to the one that ecstasy comes from in the first place. So why not play this lavender soul song called Divine Lover? Becoming unified with your divine maker. And so doing, a new seed gets planted. And the infinite hybrid child is called you, whatever your name is. See you shortly. Be right back. Final segment, Nakula Dawson is going to give us his closing statement. So what we can do to actually expand our sexual muscles, sensual muscles, intimate muscles.
I will be with you always, until the end of time. You will never be alone. I am.
All of my life, all of my days, I feel you there beside me. All of my lives, all through my days, I've seen places far away. Wondering just when, time and again, I have come to know you. Wondering just when, time and again, you are there beside me.
is my will that you know me. I will not hide my love from you. You create your reality, and every moment by your own perceptions, your judgments, actions. Peace is a state of mind. Bliss is a state of heart. Heaven is a state of being.
Deep in my heart, I know you're there. I can always feel you guiding my life to see the light that will lead me to the truth. When I create, when I feel love, whenever I feel you with me, I celebrate times of my life. There is only you and me. For you are my mother,
My soul.
my divine lover. I celebrate times of my life. There is only you and me. Help me live.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. Keith Anthony Blanchard. You're hanging out with my friend Nakula Doss. And we've been talking about everything, everything, let's get it on. All that beautiful stuff. How you take it. How are you taking it? Are you taking it in? Are you okay with it? Are you okay with yourself? You see, as I did a presentation the other night, it was called vulnerability. All those people you used to know, and I mean that literally, used to know, hang out with, they're strangers now. And you're going to have to take your clothes off to hang out with these people again. You're going to have to reintroduce yourself to say, is it okay that I kiss you on your neck? Or hug you around your neck? Or kiss you in your face? Because some people are still going to have some hang-ups about COVID-19. Are you in a COVID-19 sexual experience? Or are you afraid to be touched by your partner? Actually, in essence, what you are is you're afraid to be touched by yourself. You're afraid to touch and to be touched. To be touched by something that is blissful, gorgeous, delicious. You have to deserve it. You have to feel like you deserve it. You have to feel worthy. There is nothing else. In order for you to play in the kingdom of forever, you have to forever want that kind of joy, ecstasy, partnership, guy, girl, cosmos, divine lover, whatever it is. Would you agree with that, Nick?
You definitely gotta have to desire it, man. Without desire, there's
Nothing
nothing,
happens.
right?
Nothing happens. Nick,
On a physical
Nakula,
level or spiritual level.
I always say that the journey of 1,000 years starts with the first step. When you take the first step, 500 years are shaved off your path, because nothing without the first step, absolutely nothing happens. Nothing. So you need to take the first step, and in that step of being vulnerable, of wanting something different, there's no other way that something different can happen until you desire that kind of change. And it requires a passion, a fire, like you said earlier. It's a fire. It's a divine fire. You know, people sometimes want to squash people's fires. My fire is a holy fire. Don't squash it. Let it burn.
Let it burn.
Let it burn. It's a holy fire.
I love it. You know, I wanted to address, if we have the time, a little bit of the question of the feminine side, the benefits. And so for ladies, so semen retention obviously is a men's practice. However, women have the same potential in the sense of now there's nothing that you can do about your your menstrual cycle,
Nick,
But
let me ask you this. This came up really powerfully. So when you speak about semen retention and you're with your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mate, or however you do your dance, this is truly not about taking you to the point to where you need to quit now and stop being so touchy and because I need to breathe and take a break. We're talking about a practice that you are teaching and have learned that takes you beyond trying to quote, how long is it a controlling of yourself to where it actually becomes by default you just being an inexperienced because you know sometimes you need to slow down.
yeah, well, like it's different for everybody in that sense. Like, but there's a control part that's at the beginning where you're very conscious about, first of all, like, okay, ejaculation control mainly comes, the foundation of it is that you have to keep calm. So guys unconsciously train themselves. And I'll kind of tie in the answer to the feminine side on different levels. So let's speak completely on a physical level. On a physical level, a woman takes longer to become aroused or become orgasmic. At least like 20, 10, 15, 20 minutes. So a guy wants to get going and he's like, all right, I'm ready, let's rock and roll. But a woman, for instance, is going to want to warm up, foreplay, all this type of thing, right? To warm up, why? Because a woman's going to take longer in that way. If guys cannot control themselves to last the 20 minutes or so, or say, right, then they can't get to that point where their partner very much feels satisfied within there. And many people are complaining about this inside of their relationships, that actually that women are complaining about men being basically not being able to perform sexually in a way that they would enjoy. So when a man practices semen retention, he's practicing how to keep himself calm. What essentially makes a man ejaculate is that we've trained ourselves that when we get excited, we get aroused. What are the two signs? Normally the man starts to get tense, especially in his butt, in his perineum, and everything tenses up. He's starting to tense, and he's looking for this vigorous action to release his energy. Like, so it's very vigorous. It's not very intimate or soft, but it's very vigorous in this way. And then because he's so tense, also what happens is short breath. And this is what drives actually a man to ejaculate quickly at a very basic level. So the foundation of sexual kung fu is meditation, is learning how to meditate and breathe, how to actually keep your nervous system calm while being sexually aroused. And in this way, you can relax and feel the subtleness. So when you're with a partner, on a physical level, it actually becomes more pleasurable for both parties. Because as a woman, you'll get more intimacy from your man, a slower experience, and you can heat it up and you can go 50 Shades of Grey or wherever you want to go with it. But the point is you'll be able to play in a spectrum as opposed to this same old, okay, go, 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 and where the man is simply just trying to orgasm and the woman is simply just trying to orgasm. Rather than making orgasm the goal, you're making intimacy the goal. You're making this pleasure, this flow, where your energy actually begins to exchange. Now there's
It becomes one.
intimacy.
It becomes
Right.
one creature that expresses itself. Again, it goes back to the vulnerability, being willing to whatever it takes. It doesn't mean
Right.
no one's inviting you to do something that you don't think you should.
Of course.
It's about to fall into this space of, oh my God, you have to lose yourself to find yourself with the other person. And it applies to the other person, vice versa with you. So in that, many things happen. It's not just about you finding yourself, not about the other person finding themselves. It's about you finding yourselves. So now we have this third component, which introduces something we call the Trinity or the Holy Spirit, something that comes along and rectifies the imbalance and puts it into a space of spiritual balance to where the ecstasy can actually naturally, without effort, simply unfold.
There's when a man and woman are in a state like that, then there's this actually has proven to also help the relationship as a whole, because there's a deep trust, there's an intimacy there. So in that sense, now that's on a physical level. And like I said, and then once you're at that level, once you learned, like, so I teach a course called the Warlock Training for Men. It's how to become a sexual alchemist. Once you're at the physical or basic level, you've mastered the physical senses of it, you can essentially last longer, you can control your ejaculation. It doesn't mean you'll always last or there won't be like those type of things, but you could train yourself up to basically keep yourself relaxed and keep oxygen moving through your body. When you take short breaths and tense your body, you will definitely go earlier than you know maybe you desire. So that's on a physical level. Move it up now to a higher level for ladies. When your man is on semen retention, practicing semen retention, and you're actually on board encouraging him, right? What ends up happening is you'll notice his drive start going through the roof. You know that freaking that wall that he just hasn't painted for the last 6 months? He may go paint that wall now because he's got so much energy. You know that garden hose that
he becomes the perfect boyfriend.
That's right. He's driven. All of a sudden, he's fixing the wall. The next thing you know, he's like, hey, maybe I'm going to start this business because I'm going to make some more money so we can do this. And he naturally, because as his ojas increases and as the semen mixes more.
Say that word
again,
again, please. As his
ojas.
What increase? Ojas?
Ojas.
Spell it, please.
O-J-A-S.
Ojas.
It means spiritual power. It means his sex energy is being refined into energy, usable energy. As his ojas, his energy is increasing, his prana, his life force is increasing, he will naturally want to provide and protect. He'll actually embody, you'll be more attracted to him, I promise you. He'll embody the qualities that when you first started dating and he was like taking you on a date and he was pursuing you and he was making decisions. He didn't say, like, guys are like, you know, like, oh, what do you want to do tonight? I don't know. What do you want to do tonight? What do you want? But remember when you first started dating, you weren't like, what do you want to do tonight? You're like, hey, babe, look, you know that red dress I like? Put it on. I'm picking you up at 7 and we're going out tonight. And she was like, she loved every second of it because you were a man, you were taking charge, you were leading, you were, and that's so. Women, you'll actually notice that that essence that first made you probably attracted to him will actually come back, because now there'll be polarization. He'll be a man and you'll be a woman, and now you can polarize, and that's where the attraction happens. So your actual passionate relationship gets restored. There's excitement, there's spontaneity in that energy. When that energy's there, then there's that spontaneity of, hey, we're going out tonight, or it's not just the same routine over and over again, both in and outside the bedroom, right? There's an excitement, a newness. Now take it up a notch again. As he continues to grow and as man continues to understand the deeper meanings of spiritual of attention, he becomes a better husband. He becomes more listening. He becomes more sensitive to your needs. It's weird. It's a dichotomy. In one way, he becomes more of a man, and in his manliness, in his masculine, like a father. He becomes like a protector, a listener. There's a warmth that comes with him, which actually as a woman empowers you as well, right? You know, and vice versa, right? Like, you know, I'm just speaking from a man's perspective because that's how I'm experiencing it. So the benefits of women, like my wife encourages my semen retention. At first, it's not that she didn't encourage it or did not encourage it. It was just like, okay, you want to practice this, and you know, and questions come up like, well, like, you know, like, how do I know, like, you know, I've done a good job per se, or that I've done, or right, like, you know, this type of thing. So at first you have to be open, vulnerable. You have to see, and you have to understand why. What are the benefits? Once you understand the benefits, then you'll start to. And I tell you,
it gives you something to move forward towards, because of you have to. Why am I cutting this grass? Well, because it's going to make your yard pretty. And until you tell me it's going to make my yard pretty, I have no desire to put gas and crank on this thing that may not start. Exactly.
I'm running an ad right now, so I mentioned I have a webinar coming up here, and I'm you know, I've got guys registering to do this free training of sexual alchemy. I'm running an ad about it to guys I don't know, just out there. I wanted to see what are the general responses. It's so funny. I get a lot of guys going, "You're crazy, you're stupid, you're gay, this is dumb, blah blah blah," like just ridiculous. They have no, there's not like. There's no intelligence behind their comments. But it's interesting, the mentality though. When I'm saying, hey, they don't understand that there are deeper pleasures to life than just letting one go. Now, is that pleasurable? Yes. But is there more to life than that? Absolutely. Sex is one part of life. But when we make one part of life the whole of our life, we suffer. Because even as a sexual kung fu master, right? And you could have sex all day long. You're not going to, right? If not, your bills aren't going to get paid, and eventually you'll be like, okay, I want to do something else too. So you'll see that even in itself, it loses the grip, right? It can be there, it can be enjoyed, but it literally loses the grip, and it allows you to move on.
Bro, I had a blast with you tonight, sir.
Yeah, me too, man.
Before we get into your final thought, I'm just going to be my silly Keith self. So when we begin to learn the sensuality, the ecstasy that happens when we touch ourselves, we're baiting. We're baiting ourselves. And we get really good at it. We become masters and we become masturbators. You can use that with your spiritual bad boy crowd. Right? That just came to me. That came from Athena or whoever the god or goddess is of sexuality.
God has a sense of humor, and if you can't laugh at life, then
you're missing the point of your birth. Brother,
right.
What would you like to leave our listening audience with? I've been posting your link all over the forums about how they can find you and make a stank as they trample all over your page and support you in your beautiful potential.
Yeah, man.
Leave us with something, bro. What we got?
All right. Here's what I'm going to leave you with. Nothing in this world inherently is right or wrong. It is the way in which you use it that produces your life. Your sex energy is the most powerful driving force you have. Imagine what your life could be like if you could tap into it and use that same drive into higher aspirations. You can master yourself in the bedroom and out of the bedroom, and sexual kung fu can take you there, and I can teach you how to do it. So connect with me.
Everyone, again, Nakula Doss hanging out. I did, in fact, my last post in the forum is how to find him. Bro, thank you. I really enjoyed my expansive time with you. Often, I must say that I can keep up with the best, and I did my best to keep up with you and learning a new possibility. And I know this stuff on another level, but I'm glad that you're practicing this. And I would be interested, seriously, publicly interested in joining your forum.
Man.
Spiritual Bad Boys. I like the title, Bad Boy, because the girls like that already, so I'm in. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Brother, thank you. I really enjoyed my time with you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I mean, you already know I'm a huge fan of yours, and I love what you're doing. I love your show, and I think that it's really cool to see like your style of spirituality, like you being you. Because I find like what happens is people come to spiritual life, and I went through this phase too, and you think you got to change everything about you, or all of a sudden like you got to do all this stuff. But it's like when someone can remain in their personality and understand who they are, I think it's a beautiful thing, man, and you embody that nicely.
Thank you for acknowledgement, sir. Everyone, my brother Nakula Doss, we've been hanging out talking about some let's get it on. Let's get it on. You know what I'm talking about, baby. Hanging out, Nakula Doss, Center of Light Radio, Spiritual Technologies, Yanava here. We've been speaking about sexual kung fu. At least in this way, you don't want 1-inch focus power. You want a little more than that every second, every minute, every hour. Keith Anthony Blanchard here hanging out with you. My love for you is beyond measure. This new book that has just been released a week and a few days ago has become bestseller, to my knowledge. Number 6 in the UK. Are you okay? Are you okay with yourself? Are you touching yourself? Greater possibilities that are endless within you. Are you? Again, as I said earlier, in jest, it's spiritual masturbation. Everyone is looking for ultimate pleasure. Maybe simply, somehow, some way, you just want to touch yourself. Does it make you feel awkward? Good. I got your attention. Trust me when I tell you. I'm going to try my new technology. Let's see if this works. You are loved beyond measure. Keith Anthony Blanchard here. The light does not live in you. Don't let anyone lie to you. You are the light. Be that. You are 98.6 degrees of pure freaking awesomeness. Lavender Soul, my spiritual band, comprised of members of the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. See the light. See the light and more. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, man.
See inside.